Welcome and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. Dean DeTona and Court, President and CEO of HomeSmart Professionals and HomeSmart Real Estate Network. And I am excited to have with me today, Christine Suave Crum from Gentry Moving and Storage. Christine, thank you so much for being here. Welcome.
Well, thank you for having me, Dean. I'm very excited to be taking part in this with you today.
Awesome. Good. No, I appreciate it. Absolutely. Of course, I want to lead in with a bit of an introduction so everyone knows the caliber of our guest here today. So bear with me as we spotlight you a little bit, Christine. So I know you're humble, so I asked to talk about you for you. So Christine Suave Crum is the proud founder and owner of Gentry Moving and Storage. Gentry Moving and Storage has been a front runner in the moving industry in Rhode Island since 2004 and also includes a seniors on the move division, specifically catering to the needs surrounding the needs of senior clients. Family owned and operated for the past 16 years, Gentry Moving is proud to hold the designation of WBE, which is Woman Owned Business Enterprise in the state of Rhode Island. Christine is a retired teacher holding 2 bachelor's and a master's degree in this field. Her past professional experience brings an element of care and understanding to each and every one of her clients and their moves. She's passionate about giving her clients excellent customer service, coupled with a stress-free, we'll talk about that, Christine. What is that? Stress-free, seamless relocation experience. And in her spare time, she's a loving mom to her teenage daughter and Bernese mountain dog. Again, welcome, Christine. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Now, of course, I do want to start for anyone tuning in. We are live on Facebook Live. And if you have any questions, you have any thoughts you want to share, any insight you want from Christine as we go along, I will be glancing from time to time in our chat box to see if we have any comments. So it's not because I'm losing focus, it's because I'm paying attention. So Christine, so let's lead right in, okay? I was excited when we had a conversation and we talked about the challenges or the opportunities, I always like to say, in the marketplace right now with the moving experience. Because, you know, let's be honest, everyone knows we've been continuing to navigate this pandemic for months now.
Absolutely.
And we will be for many months to come. And in our profession, you know, we worry about the needs of our clients. Their safety is top priority. We've got to focus on scheduling showings properly so that the buyers who are viewing the property are safe. The sellers whose property has strangers walking into is protected. And of course, the real estate professionals involved, whether it's home inspections, whether it's appraisers, the realtors themselves. There's so much to think of and so many moving parts involved in that process. On top of it, now we have movers who come in and touch everything in an industry where we say not to touch everything, and
right.
You come in and you're touching everything, and you know, and you're bringing it to a new space. So from one space that needs to be protected to a new space that needs to be protected, and touching everything in between. So I don't envy your role in this, and that's why I was excited that you accepted this invite, because I want folks to know what are the steps that moving companies should be taking in protecting the consumer, and especially what steps are you in particular taking at Gentry Moving. So big loaded question there, but let's dig in.
Okay, so as with anything else, this pandemic was something that wasn't expected, and for I think every industry, no matter which one you're in, there needed to be some really quick pivoting taking place, right? You needed to figure out how to follow government and state guidelines. You needed to figure out what could your business do to keep not only, of course, our clients protected, but also our employees, and all the while trying to figure out how to navigate this and build this into, you know, your everyday new normal routine.
New routine, right?
Right, new routine. So we found that luckily for us, there were a lot of directives that were brought down to us from a lot of the groups that we belong to as movers. So they sent directives down to us, just trying to give us some guidance in coordination with what was expected from us from the government and the state. So we immediately put into action the fact that, of course, our employees were going to wear masks. Yeah. So when someone does come into your home, they are wearing PPE. So they do have their masks. They will have gloves. They have hand sanitizer in the truck. They are cleaning that truck prior to use. They are cleaning it after use, both inside the cab and the actual body of the truck. We also have asked the gentlemen, when they are working with the client, to please abide by that 6-foot social distancing. So if they're entering into your home, we've been speaking to the clients ahead of time and trying to gauge what their comfort level is. So especially if we're going into the home of someone who's a senior, we've been letting them know, if you can have someone else be at the home, that would be wonderful, so that they don't even have to interact. We have been asking people to, if the guys, if my gentlemen are working, let's say in the master bedroom, please don't be in the master bedroom with them at the same time. Give them that space. Right. They obviously, my men can't socially distance from each other. You know, you need to carry a couch together to get it outside. Yeah. But we've been trying to make it very clear to the client, please, the gentlemen still welcome your questions. They still want your feedback, and they're going to have questions for you too. But just make sure you're giving that 6 feet of social distancing. And I've been telling them, if they're in the bedroom, talk to them outside in the hall. Right. We've been asking the clients to open windows. If it's okay with them to open various windows in the house to get a nice cross breeze, just to keep the air moving. The men, when we do everything by paper, so at the end of the move, you know, you're asked to sign, and so we've been asking them if they want to sign paperwork, to use their own pen, just trying to keep it as clean as possible, where we're not cross-contaminating as much as we can. Like you mentioned, you know, we're in their home and we're in their space, and the nature of the move is for us to touch pretty much everything. And we are very thorough in what we do. So when Gentry comes, the men are wrapping your belongings. So they're pretty much attending to everything in that house. So we want to make sure that as they're touching it, there is some kind of protective nature to that. And I think so far, so good. We've gotten a lot of feedback from the customers, letting us know that they appreciate the care we're taking. And the men even had to get used to, I mean, they're working, you know, they're lifting things, they're utilizing, it's like being at the gym, really. So it took them a little while themselves to get used to wearing that mask. But I think we're over that hurdle now. And so far, so good.
Right. And well, and that makes sense. It takes a little while for everyone to adjust it. And, you know, I thought of it when you said, you know, of course, the men who are conducting the move, you know, it's hard for them to social distance. While, you know, many couches are 6 feet long, you know, many pieces of furniture are not. So, correct. So, you know, but they're in their own circle. They work together every day. You know, you're social distancing, but you're also working with people you work every day. And if they are taking the necessary precautions outside of work, I think it's okay for them to feel comfortable within their own circle, as long as they communicate clearly what their outside contact is outside of the job environment.
Right. And so what I found is, for us at the beginning of our day, the crews, the men that work together tends to be the same men all the time. And that works in our favor. It's just like a well-oiled machine. You know, you put the two men together, and they almost read each other's mind. They're partners. So right. You're right to say they're working with the same partner every day. And in doing so, what we've done to try and cut down, even in the office, on a lot of as you would say, maybe cross-contamination, is only the crew lead comes in the morning. The rest of the crew does not. They come in, and we go over the paperwork for the day. We brief one person at a time. So we don't have, you know, 16 men all coming in at the same time. Right. We've also instituted taking temperatures. So my director of operations, that's her job in the morning. she goes out with her mask and her gloves, and she will take the temperatures of the men, just to make sure that everybody's okay and not sick. If anyone on the crew is feeling ill at any point, they are asked to stay home. They do report symptoms to us, and if we felt like there was a concern, they are put out of the rotation, and they have been asked to get a COVID test. Lucky for us, and I wish I had some wood to knock on, that hasn't been an issue for my company. I'm very grateful for that. Everybody has been rather healthy. And again, like I said, it's just a matter of just keeping track of your practices, trying to get the men in the habit of thinking about these things as part of their new routine.
Well, you know, and they have to protect themselves. They have to protect everybody involved. You know, they're conscious of each other when it comes to masks and, you know, gloves and, you know, and whatever PPE they need to wear. I mean, they need to worry that they're going into somebody else's home as well. So,
Right.
you know, they become comfortable with each other. And we have a loving comment from Laura on our feed where she's saying, make sure you tip the movers well. And it's so true, because, you know, it's at the end of the day, they are the ones who are the ones who are very conscious, and you direct them well and instruct them well. But if, let's be honest, I mean, it's really up to them to carry it out. So
Very much.
I agree with that statement. Very.
We have been lucky, I have to say. The men that we have a really great retention rate here at Gentry. So that makes for, it really spills over into the client's home. Like I had mentioned, when you have two men that have been working together hand in hand every day for the past 6 years, you know, they can anticipate pretty much every move that they're going to make. They get an expertise within their own, the two of them, you know, almost become like, I say it's like a yin and a yang. And so because of that, as they make it into the house, not only are they're conscious and looking to give you the best move possible, but the two of them together are like a well-oiled machine. And so, yes, they very much appreciate getting tips for their good hard work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, you know, good service goes a long way, and it needs to be recognized. So, you know, bringing it in a new direction, we have a question here that I want to validate as well. Deb asks if you are doing interstate moves along the East Coast. How far do you travel with your moves? And then I want to talk about that a little further.
Okay, great. So that's a great question. So we are, every day you can find us in Rhode Island, Mass, and Connecticut. So we are in the tri-state, I guess we'd say, area on a daily basis. But we do also go from Maine to Florida. We actually have a couple of them coming up rather soon. We will take a family definitely up and down the East Coast. We've delivered to pretty much every state that there is over the past 16 years that we've been in business. We actually offer a little bit of a different service than others, in the sense that we really believe our East Coast move to be more of a concierge service. And what do I mean by that is, the large carriers will come to your home, and a local person oftentimes will load it. And then it will be brought to an 18-wheeler where your belongings are handled once again. And they're loaded onto an 18-wheeler, oftentimes with 2 or 3 other families. You're given a window of a delivery time that could be anywhere from, they give you a 3 to 5 day range, and all the way sometimes up to 7 to 14 days. And then it is delivered to you where it is once again handled one more time. So
to clarify, I want to make sure that we clarify, these are your typical interstate moves that you're referring to, not Gentry.
Correct. So this would be a large.
I want to make sure that lead in was clear.
Yes, I'm sorry. If you chose a large carrier, not Gentry, but if you chose one of the, you know, the popular large carriers, that's how they do it. For us, we've taken more of a personalized approach. I like to call it a white glove or a concierge approach, where we pick it up with our men. It remains on the vehicle that is going to be transported, so it's not touched again until it arrives in North Carolina or Maine or Florida, wherever it's going. And at that point, it's only touched that, you know, it's put on and it's taken off. That cuts down on a lot of opportunity for damage to occur. And there's always a Gentry representative that is there. So more than likely, someone who actually loaded what your belongings are onto the vehicle will be there for the unload, which is very helpful because they have an actual inventory of what went. And often enough, they've actually truly touched the product. So they remember, oh, that's right, I know where I put that. Yes, I left that pillow over there. It's in that box. So we give a very thorough long haul move to you. And we're proud to do so.
Well, and I can validate everything you just said, because if you recall, you helped me with a small move to Washington, D.C. with some
Yes.
items. So you know, I know firsthand the type of service that you do interstate. So,
Thank you.
so let's talk. Is that your phone ringing?
That is a house
That's all right.
phone ringing.
All
And
good.
it's off. It is
Do you need
stopped.
to get that? No.
No.
So tell me about the interstate moves with all of the restrictions that are happening, where states are, I'll say it this way, closing their borders to people who are coming in from other states, where they're preventing people from coming in, and or at least it seems as though, you know, and when you go to a certain state, you need to, you know, even Rhode Island, you need to self-quarantine for 14 days. That doesn't necessarily apply to movers, right? Your moving team is not required to stay in that state for 14 days, right? Tell me how that excludes, you know, the moving process.
So right now for us, it's more what Gina Raimondo is asking of us to do. But there are some exceptions to that if it's work. For instance, if that truly was the case, there would be no trucking. So we wouldn't be getting our fresh tomatoes and our cucumbers and our oranges from Florida if the truckers had to stop and take 2 weeks out of their lives every time they crossed state lines.
Right, that's why I wanted to clarify that, yeah.
Right. Now, if we were doing, if someone had a U-Haul, technically, and they were doing it in that manner for themselves, it might be a little bit different. But when you're hiring a company, it is understood that we're a transport company, and that is what we do for a living. So you wouldn't be able to stay in business if everybody had to quarantine. You wouldn't be able to stay in business.
And that's right. And that's why I wanted to take that opportunity to clarify it, because, you know, there are states that require the self-quarantining, but if you're only passing through to get to another state, there are some variations. I know it sounds like a silly conversation, but I think it's really valid, you know?
No,
so
it's a great one. And each state, and you have to also be mindful of what each state is requiring as well, because there's such a swing from state to state as to what their infection rate is and where they are in this crisis. Some are a little bit more stringent than others, but again, you know, because we're part of the moving and trucking industry, we get a little bit of a different, it's business. So you're allowed to do your business.
Right. Now, do you need to know all the restrictions of each state you're going into? Or I should say, of course you need to know that, but, you know, are there any steps you take to prepare for the nuances of each state that you're visiting? How is it you compile that information, which may help us as professionals as well to be able to prepare sellers or folks moving to another location?
So it all depends on to where they're going. So let's say they're relocating to Florida. We know how many states we need to pass through from Rhode Island to Florida. And we just need to make sure that we're aware of what each state is requiring. Majority of the states we're passing through, like you mentioned, right? Mm-hmm. So it's you're just driving through state to state. I'm more concerned for my people as to the states that we know they're going to stop in and stay overnight. So I want to make sure for them that on the trip they're being safe, that they understand the state that they're deciding to stay overnight in. If they're questioned, you know, they're pulled over by DOT or anything of that sort where they're questioned, that they have answers to give back. It's interesting. You know, this is an interesting time to be doing what we do, because the nature of our business is to touch people's belongings and go from place to place, right?
Everything they're telling us not to do, that's what your job is to do. And that's why I was so excited about this conversation, because it's an oxymoron in the industry, you know?
And it's taking place in the busiest time for moving and storage. I mean, summer is when, you know, they say make hay when the sun shines. This is our very busy time. So from April to about October, we're like pedal to the metal. This is our busy season. And so we have to be mindful that the things going on around us don't inhibit us too much from being able to do what we need to do. But still, you know, we need to follow the guidelines like everybody else does.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. Absolutely. Can we talk a little bit about your typical transaction, you know, and we can veer back into the pandemic navigation, of course, because that's a timely topic. But we, first of all, a shout out from Paula Allen, you know, your good friend Paula. We talked that you're good friends, and she gave a shout out that she loves her gentry moving, and, you know, we share that sentiment. But Chantali also posted a question, and I appreciate that question. So, as you know, or probably know, in real estate, everything changes day
Right.
to day to day.
Absolutely.
And we're constantly faced with extensions being needed, things that delays, whatever the delays happen. And, you know, so here you are with a planned move because we were told a specific closing date. And even though we have a target date, if we don't get into your schedule early enough, we won't get into your schedule at all. So it's easier to cancel a move or reschedule a move than it is to schedule a move sometime, which puts you in an awkward position as a company because people are just securing time slots and they don't even know if that closing's actually going to happen. So what's your suggestion of the amount of notice that you would love to see if you had your choice? And I've got a closing that's scheduled. You've got the movers on standby for 8 a.m. that morning, and I have a delay. I mean, how much notice do you need in order to reschedule a move?
Well, we can talk about the perfect world aspect of it.
Right. Because nothing ever goes wrong, right?
Murphy's Law, but we're gonna go with the perfect situation. So the perfect situation is, I tell clients all the time, you know, you're moving, your house is sold. I know oftentimes they don't immediately have a closing date or time, but call your mover of choice, hopefully Gentry, and see. I always tell them, just give me an idea, shoot out a couple of days, what will work for you. And at that point, we'll reserve a truck for them. We do not charge any fees to reserve a local truck. So I'll hold that slot certainly for any customer that calls us. At that point, I am at the mercy of the lawyers and the closings and all of that stuff. But we have to make the assumption that it is going to happen on that day. I just got a phone call yesterday morning letting me know that, and I had squeezed this family in, and I'm happy to do so. But she called and she said, "Oh my God, I have a stomachache calling you. I'm so sorry, but I know you squeezed my family in, but we are not going to be able to close until next week." So during, in a normal operating time, there's no hard feelings on our end from any of the move coordinators, because we do this every day and we understand that, you know, everybody's kind of at the mercy of the process, right?
Right.
So,
nobody likes to change their plans last minute. I mean, let's be honest, that same family is living out of boxes with probably, if it's a family of 4, they're living out of boxes with paper plates, 4 knives, 4 forks, you know, and you know, they're not happy calling you. And I can see in that particular example, she was nervous as heck calling you. But, you know, I mean, anybody's going to be, you know, nervous about any changes. It disrupts everything. It disrupts everything on the other end, you know? I mean, you know, we struggle so hard as realtors to get everything lined up, and we get this perfect domino lined up. You know, it is a good day in real estate when everybody says, yes, that time works for me, because that doesn't happen often. So now to have one domino just fall,
knocks them all down.
That's right. That's
all
right.
Down.
So I love hearing that you understand the real estate profession, because, you know, unfortunately, not everybody shares that sentiment. And business is business. You know, you hopefully you can fill that time slot as quickly as it got you know, voided. But you know, I don't think anybody likes to cost anybody business.
No, and I think the clients are really they're wonderfully conscious of that when they call. Often, I have to be honest, sometimes I can fill the spot and I don't feel the burn of losing a truck for the day, and other times we can't. But the way I rationalize it is that somewhere down the line we're going to pick that truck back up again. So when they call, back and they say, oh my God, Christine or Pam or Nancy, we've got the date. Can you slide me in? We are really diligent about trying to make that new date happen. So, I mean, we get it. We understand it. One thing I actually want to share with you quick that I do tell clients when they call is I always ask them, when is the closing? Because you don't necessarily want your move the day of the closing. And sometimes the client doesn't realize that if the walkthrough is at 9 a.m., my men are tremendously talented, but to
they're
empty
not that
out,
talented.
yeah, a
They may be
3,000,
talented, but they're not fast.
not that talented. So to empty out a 3,000 or a 2,000 square foot home in 2 hours flat, because we're bringing them in extra early, you know, that's another Murphy's Law where,
That's
heaven forbid, I would never want anything to go wrong where the walkthrough can't take place, because then it's like, oh my God, the moving company held everything up. So there's a lot of moving pieces that we really do understand, because we have 16 years experience in the business, because we have so many wonderful relationships with realtors across the state of Rhode Island, that we've learned through experience the kinds of things to expect. And we feel very transparent with our clients to let them know the scenarios that they might face, that we can hopefully help them with. So I'd like to believe that we are rather thorough in our explanation as to why we suggest them to do things a certain way on the day of their move.
And I also want to make sure that I mention, because, you know, we had talked about this previously as well, but you know, you want to help give them guidance, but also you will always include the realtor in there. See, I know firsthand that a lot of your business relationships are with realtors throughout the state.
Right.
You know, you know, in a very large way with our folks here at Home Smart, but especially with other firms. You know, and we respect that and we support that. I mean, you know, that's your business, and I also know that you know firsthand, based on everything you just said, that the realtor is critical in that decision. So I want to clarify it only because of how you said it. And sometimes we don't think of all the details to say, because I know you won't advise a client to schedule a move based on a closing date. You're going to say, hey, talk to your realtor, but here's what you need to consider before we schedule this room, you know, this move. Because, you know, if nobody wants to, no realtor wants to not know those details and, you know, find out the day of the week of the closing. Well, it's closing on because we're moving tomorrow. Whoa, wait a minute. Who told you to schedule the movers? So I do appreciate that in you, because I've had firsthand experience where you referred clients back to their realtor here at HomeSmart and said, you know, hey, the mover gave me some advice, but told me to check with you before we confirm it. So
absolutely, we're pretty. I will say, well, excuse me.
No,
one of our first questions when we do get the call is, how did you find us? And the minute they let us know it's a realtor, we'll always ask who the realtor is. We'll always thank the client for taking the realtor's referral, because that's important. You know, we're thankful that they trusted the realtor, and that's notated in our CRM, which makes it really easy for us, because now there's a communication there where when we're done, oftentimes we'll shoot an email to the realtor and say, thank you, Dean, for your referral of Paula Allen. And we just want to let you know that she's been scheduled for such and such a day and such a time. And if there's anything that you need to speak to us about regarding the transaction, please feel free to do so. So we do try and keep that open communication with the realtor, because sometimes it's the realtor calling us, which is kind of fun. The realtor calls and says, hey, you know, I'm calling you because I know I can access you and you'll be very truthful to me. Can you squeeze my person in? I know it's 2 days notice. And we will. I joke around.
And you have, and we've received those emails, and that's why I wanted to make sure I mention it, because for any of the practitioners out there listening, they need to know that's a teamwork thing. You know, it's so hard as a realtor to not know all of the details. You know, clients are acting out of impulse, aren't they? You know, all they're worried about is getting their move scheduled, and by the way, they should. You know, they don't always think, okay, now that I've scheduled it, let me let Dean know, you know, and you know, there are a lot of moving parts. So So for the consumers that are tuning in today, please communicate to all parties when you schedule your move and how to. But I appreciate that in Gentry that you're always making sure that everybody's aware of all the details. You also go out of your way to thank your referral source, which, you know, I think goes a long way, and I appreciate that as well.
Yeah. And again, it like, as you said, it's absolutely positively is teamwork. And as we all know, the best way to get a customer is by word of mouth. If someone who's had a great experience with the company or with the person, it goes a long way. And I remember it's been 16 years, but 16 years ago when we bought our house, I really relied very heavily on my realtor for basically, who do you use? Who do you respect? Who do you trust? And based on her recommendations, we used a lot of the people that she trusted. So as realtors, you guys, as you know, you have a lot of experience and a lot of, whoever's using it, your clients love you. You know, they respect you and they love you. And so that referral that you're giving means a lot to them. And when they do call us, it means a lot to us.
Yeah. No, and customer service is key. You know, we say it all the time. You know, we're not in the sales industry here in real estate. You know, we're in the customer service industry.
Absolutely.
And so many people forget that. And you know, that's one of the biggest points we always drive home with our clients is, you know, ensuring that they know that we're in this, you know, before, during, and after the closing. I mean, that's just a big part of the process, is making sure that we're consulting and providing that guidance. So I wanted to make sure that we clarified that and also, you know, shared that information, because you go out of your way to make sure the communication is there, and that's a big part of it. So I appreciate that.
Thank you.
So tell me a little bit more about the Seniors on the Move program. You know, that's a passion project for yours. I saw you light up as soon as I said it, and there are a number of folks who cater to seniors and love working with seniors, and some focus on it as their target market as well. But it's a very unique market in a lot of ways. And tell me why that's a passion of yours and how that works.
So we are one of the only moving companies in the state that actually has a portion of our business that is specifically catering to the seniors in Rhode Island. It's my passion project. You're right. Oftentimes, our senior population is forgotten or looked over. And in that case, you know, when they get to the point that they're ready to move, it can be a little bit overwhelming. They may or may not have children. They may or may not have children that live locally. And so they're now trying to navigate a really big life change without necessarily the right support systems to do so. And another unfortunate piece of the puzzle with seniors is too many people are quick to take advantage of them. I am a big proponent and just a big, I don't know what word to use, lover of our senior population.
Yes.
Fan. They're amazing. The stories they share, even when they call and they're booking a move, and you learn a lot about how, when they're leaving a house they've been in for 50 years, and they want to tell you the movers are the best. When the movers go to the move to assist, everything is like, look at my grandchildren, aren't they beautiful? And everything.
The pencil marks on the door frame.
Yes.
Can I take that woodwork with me? Well, call your realtor and ask.
Exactly.
Don't pull out a hammer. I say, we see all different moves come in. You've got that young couple buying their first house, and the excitement that comes to the phone is palpable, right? And then you've got, the people that are leaving their starter home. Their family has grown, and now they're moving into this next house, and you get a vibe off of that phone call. And then you have your senior phone calls, and they're bittersweet. They're bittersweet. So Seniors on the Move was put together to help people navigate that downsizing, that change of life, that what do I do? Like, where am I going? Can I take all of these things? And sometimes we even act as surrogate kids, to step in and really refer them to the people that are going to look out for their best interest in the transaction. As you mentioned, there are realtors who have a delineation of being
I'm not know if I'm going to say it properly. Forgive me.
Senior real estate expert.
Thank you. And I've been lucky enough through that part of my business to know, I do know who they are. And oftentimes when we're asked, do you have someone that specializes, I can refer people that have chosen to go that extra step and get that beautiful delineation added to what they can do for their clients.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned that, because that is a designation that's available to all realtors, and it truly hones your skills on ensuring that you know the specific needs of that clientele.
Correct. And I know that on your, part of your HomeSmart team, I know that you have people that do have that.
You do.
And so, like you said, it's a passion project. So
Right.
we've become very well known in the senior world, not just for moving, let's say, from a home to a condo or to a smaller home or to an in-law, but we also are very well known in that world because we help move families and move their family members into those gorgeous senior communities that they're like hotels. And they're amazing. And families sometimes don't choose to go the path of a home. They choose to put them in one of these senior communities where they have, cocktail shrimp for lunch. And it's like a beautiful atmosphere. We have a lot of wonderful working relationships across the state as referral partners to work inside those buildings and bring the families in.
You're not just in it for the cocktail shrimp though, right?
Oh, wow. The nice part about getting to know all of the executive directors is they enjoy they're like, oh my God, Christine, you popped by to say hi. Come on, let's sit down and have lunch.
Of course. Yeah.
So,
enjoy our tasting menu, right?
Right. But remember, I am a great mouthpiece for them. So sharing their cocktail shrimp and a glass of wine with me.
It's the least you can do, and it's the least they can do. That's right.
Correct. And I can also leave and say, if you go to such and such a community, they've got the best meatballs in the state. So, we live in Rhode Island.
Perfect.
Food is important.
Well, yes, that's right. That's right. Meatballs, anything Italian, right?
Right.
So I want to mention quickly, because somebody might have tuned in a little late. Tom asked a question about in-state moves. We were talking about interstate, possibly at the time. So Tom, yes, absolutely. Tri-state area, especially is everyday moves. In the
Correct.
same state, in Mass, Connecticut, Rhode Island. So I just wanted to clarify that, because I want to make sure that we respond to all the comments as
Absolutely.
So
we go into we're in Boston. I just got a call from New York City. Where we've actually moved people to Nantucket, to the Vineyard. So we are trucks, we are boats. The only thing we haven't mastered is planes yet. That's the only thing Gentry hasn't touched.
That's right. Give it time, though. Give it time.
Give it time.
No, and I appreciated that question in case somebody else had tuned in late. So Tom, I hope all is well. Great to hear from you here. But excited for that. So let's talk about the women enterprise. Okay, the designation is called the woman-owned business enterprise, and to clarify, the leadership of the company is something you've been in from day one, but you've also recently taken the helm of the leadership at the company, and I'm excited for you with that. And it's you have this designation of the woman-owned business enterprise. Tell me about that.
So Gentry is 100% owned, female owned. That would be me. And when that's the case, you can apply with the state of Rhode Island to have that bestowed upon your company. And with that comes some pretty amazing opportunities with the state itself, where we are privy to having bids that, because we are considered woman minority business enterprise, it opens a lot of doors for us that I'm grateful to have been able to be a part of. Awesome. So, and a woman-owned moving company is not something you see often. And I do believe that what we stand for as a company is a little bit a little maternal. You can see the reflection of femininity, I guess you'd say, maybe, in our company, where
a woman's touch.
Yeah, a woman's touch.
It's okay to say it. Guys shouldn't take offense.
Right?
It is
try
what it
not
is,
to
right?
sound sexist here, but
No.
I feel I know this might sound a little silly, but I really feel strongly that when the phone is answered at Gentry, you're getting a female voice. And it's a live person. So you're either going to get myself, Nancy Garcia, or Pam Crum. And I feel that we as females really attend to that call in a different way. A lot of people have thanked us for having that, I guess, maybe female touch. We are very thorough and a little maternal. You know, when people call and they're a little freaked out with the process, it's kind of nice when you have somebody on the other end that kind of has that softness that we're willing to share. You know, we're willing to share that with our customers.
The empathy, you know, now in
right.
any business, anybody answering a phone needs to have empathy. Let's call it what it is.
Absolutely.
But, you know, there's the theory of relativity, you know, and if you can empathize and relate to what the person is experiencing on the other end of the phone, and you can express that through a phone line, that goes a long way.
Absolutely.
You know? Now the hard part, and I'm sure you've mastered this because I've witnessed it, the hard part is having that empathy show through with everyone in the company. It's one thing to have the three of you answer the phone with empathy.
That's true.
But you know, you talk about the guys in your crew, and I know that they share that empathy and they show that when they're on the job. And that's important because you can't have a different experience when someone walks in your home that the phone call caused you to expect.
Absolutely. I will tell you honestly that when I have a staff meeting, when we talk about Gentry is always a we and an us. Yeah. And I very much have instilled that thought process in my team. And I tell them the call starts with us, the admin team, which is primarily female. Sorry, Mike, my estimator is a male. But we are a female admin team, and we have a set of beliefs, a set of core beliefs that we share as a group, but as a team. I've gotten some wonderful feedback about my men. Just a quick, fast story. We did a move for a senior. This happens to be a senior story, but the family was scattered across America, and they couldn't get to their aging father's side to help him. So we really took the helm on this, me personally and my men. And it was really nice for the family to give feedback to say that the father told them that my men actually made the bed for the gentleman. After they moved it, they put the bed together. Normally there's a family member there that takes care of those details, right. but without being told, without anybody needing to tell, to instruct. I mean, they even made the bed for this gentleman. So,
yeah,
awesome. I got to tell you, I'm lucky. I have some great employees. My movers do carry that understanding and that empathy. If we know a little something before them going in, oftentimes we'll be like, this might not be the happiest move situation. So can you just make sure that you're mindful of that? And, and because sometimes we do know these things, and
not everybody's excited about a move.
No.
You say it's the best day of your life. On to the next chapter. Not everybody's excited about the next chapter.
Not every time do you walk into a move where one or both or all of the people are feeling comfortable with that move, and that's a whole different animal in and of itself. So I think that they've seen enough. Over the 16 years that they've been there, that they can kind of gauge that and work appropriately with the family to make sure that they're comfortable with us being there.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Again, it all comes back to that communication that we mentioned. The opportunity is right up front to ensure that everybody knows what to expect. The expectations are not only met, set, but they're met. And
right.
That's important to you. So I'm glad we had a chance to talk about that a little bit. So what haven't we hit on that you need folks to be aware of right now with everything either you're navigating or your industry and
Well, you know what? I wouldn't mind if I didn't mention with COVID still being a part of our lives.
Yeah.
Normally, Gentry will offer when you call. If we don't believe that we can give you a confident let's say pricing, we will then defer to our estimator, Mike McCarthy. Mike's amazing. He brings years of experience to Gentry. And normally we would offer a free estimate. So Mike would come to your home. He would walk the home with you, very thoroughly go through what it is that your expectation for the move is and what it is that you'd like us to move for you. And then about 24 to 48 hours later, he would send you, you'd get an email of an estimate, a very detailed estimate for your perusal. And if you choose to use us, they would sign it and send it back. With COVID, it's been a little hard to do that. One, some people don't want us to come in their homes, right? And two, just to make sure that we're trying to keep our staff as safe as possible as well, we have chosen not to go into homes. So we're now doing a very interesting and exciting virtual walkthrough, and it's been going over really, really well with the clients. We give them an opportunity. They can either FaceTime, where they take us room to room and they actually physically turn the phone and show us what they've got, even opening up closets so we can see what's going on in there, because closets can be tricky. Or they'll speak to Mike on the phone and they'll give him almost like a running tally of what's to be moved, and then they'll go and take photos and send them to us. So we're improvising a bit over what we would normally do, and it's definitely it's been a learning curve. Like I said, because Mike's not there, you're not really sure how much is in the attic or how much is really in the basement. So
in that lens.
Yes. So we've had a couple of extra hours at some houses that we didn't expect. But again, clients have been really very, understanding of that. It's right now because we can't go in. It's not a perfect science.
But I love hearing that because, there are literally electronic sales happening. Everything's happening remotely.
Yes.
Everything's done through technology, start to finish. So, while you can't physically move without touch, of course, but to know that even right up to that point to get quotes, someone who truly just doesn't want somebody in their home, never mind 3 of the same industry, in order to make sure they get the proper pricing, that's a huge thing. So, to be able to cater to that, I think is really awesome.
And again, you want to give the customer as close of a estimate as possible, because some of them like, well, so we spoke to another company and they gave us a range, and that makes us uncomfortable because will it be the low end or will it be the high end? So we've tried to take it a step further, and we've tried to really still with Mike's expertise to try and narrow that down to an actual estimate. And we do let them know, but if we arrive and you didn't tell us about the baby grand piano, there will be a change in price, but we've been really but we've been really successful for the most part with going in there and having it pretty close to what it needs to be, and everybody's been happy, including us, so that's great.
Now, to clarify, you also pack for moves, or do you just move belongings that are already packed? I think there's a big distinction there for some folks and needs.
So depending on what your family's needs are, some people choose to pack their own belongings, and we will certainly come in and move boxes and furniture and anything in between that has already been handled by the client themselves. Yeah. That is most often the moves that we're walking into, right? It's a self-packed move. Right. We do offer the opportunity for our men to go in and actually pack the home for you. Oftentimes people choose us to pack certain rooms. For instance, both the wife or both the partners work, and they're like, we have no problem packing the clothing, but we just don't want to deal with packing the kitchen, right? All the glass. And so sometimes we go in and we are assigned to just do one room, which is usually always the kitchen. Right. But we can pack the entire home. We're happy to do so. Usually in those kind of jobs, there's a day of packing and there's a day of moving. So those jobs often take place over the course of a few days, depending on how large the house is and how much they would like us to pack. Okay. We do provide all the packing materials. So we bring what we believe to be needed, and the client is only charged for what is used. And on a little side note, you could want to be packing your own home, but you would like certain size boxes that you can't seem to get at Home Depot or from the liquor store down the corner. And we do sell packing materials. So everything that we use professionally is available for our clients to make purchase of. And we will bring it to you ahead of time. So if you want the boxes delivered 2 weeks prior, so you can get started packing, we're happy to do so. And another piece that we did.
2 weeks. I'm thinking 2 months.
Well, you'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. And
Have
then
you
lastly,
seen my basement?
yeah. And then another piece that I'm remiss sometimes not to mention is we also do have storage, and we have a very healthy storage business with our clients. So one service that we offer that's kind of neat to know about is if we come and we pack you up on a Monday, but your closing isn't until Tuesday, we will hold your product, your belongings overnight. There is a fee for that, but you're brought back to us, you're locked down, you're locked in, and we hold it for you. So we can hold for a client anywhere from overnight to as long as you'd like.
Wow.
So we have 25,000 square feet of storage, and we're happy to take on, our client storage. And it makes it nice because we receive the product, we do the inventory, we pack it for however long you need us to hold it. And then we are the company that is bringing it back. So we're really accountable for that move from start to finish.
Right.
And the clients have that peace of mind to know that we've got it under control.
Right. Awesome. Just to know that it's staying in the same hands and you always have a pulse on what is happening with it. I think that's a big deal.
Right. We feel that way.
We've got some thank yous coming across. Rob says, thanks. Paul is making comments about my basement saying it would definitely take a couple of months,
Oh, geez.
I've got a little bit of everything, you never know when you need it someday,
I agree.
My dad taught me that.
I agree.
You just never know that one day. And it's always the day after you threw it out.
Absolutely.
You finally throw it out, and it's literally days after you say,
yes.
Oh, now I need that. It's just, I don't know.
And it's something very random, right? It's always something that someone would go, really, you're holding on to that?
Yes.
And you're like, I'm holding on to that.
Someday. So, okay, you're right. I'll throw it out. Oh, where is that? It's just funny how it all works out. So we're right around our time. I can't say thanks enough. I thank everyone who posted some notes. Chantali's saying thanks again as well. Some great comments. I know you can't see the feed, so that's why I want to always read them out. Rob is saying he's got a basement like mine. So, no, he's not. He's saying it's always the day later that you find something that you wish you hadn't thrown out. Sorry, absolutely. Rob. I didn't mean to stereotype there. So, but I appreciate it. It's great information. I appreciate all the care that you take in making sure that clients are safe and especially in the industry. We worked together a long time. Just the communication. Real estate practitioners need companies to communicate. We are the ones that are managing those emotions when closings get changed. And if we don't know all the moving parts, we can't properly advise all parties. So that's a big one for me, especially. So I know our folks appreciate that in the way you do business.
And I can't thank you enough and your whole HomeSmart team for trusting in us time and time again and choosing to share us with your clients. It's always fun when the phone rings and I find out who the referral partner is. And I really can't thank you enough, Dean, for supporting us as well.
Absolutely. No, that's great. So thank you again. With that, we'll sign off. Thanks for everybody for tuning in, and we will catch everyone next time. So thanks. Talk to you soon, Christine.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.